Hey, you guys. What's up, what's up, what's up? She sound off, but it's good, but it's good. Yeah, I'm out here, you know, loving on me right now, doing a little self-care by clearing my mind through exercise, meditation, um, getting my daily dose of motivation from my spirit sister, and just taking care of my body. Take care of my body. So I'm out here looking a hot ass mess, but it's okay because I feel good on the inside. Anyway, I wanted to share something with you. So I'm reading this book called Seven Masters, One Path. And it is the teaching of seven of the greatest meditation teachers of all time, and combining their main purpose, like their main meditation techniques, combining it into one huge meditation technique. So it's like taking all of it and combining it, basically. Take all of the teachings and combining them into one, to where you can do this and do this type of meditation in 5 minutes and 10 minutes and 20 and 30 or whatever, however long you have. But I meditate daily, whether I sit Buddha style on my carpet, whether I lay in the bed in the morning, whether I'm, at work, just gazing out the window, whether I'm sitting on my balcony stargazing. It's so many different ways. That's why when people talk about that they can't meditate, it's a goddamn lie. You just don't put your energy towards it, or your time. You just don't do it. But I was reading the chapter of Buddha, right? And it was speaking a lot on ego. It was speaking a lot on, how our ego has created this illusion of what the world should be around us. And that's why we are consistently faced with disappointment, chaos, and misery in our lives because of our ego. And it said that once the ego understands that all of its worries are illusions, the biggest fear of your ego is its own demise. I'm going to say that again. The biggest fear of your ego is its own demise. Okay? And it hit me like a ton of bricks. It hit me like a piano fell on my head, that a lot of the chaos, anger, fear, disappointment that exists around me is what I've created out of my fear, because my ego tells me that you should expect this to be this way. Or if something happens in your life and you don't necessarily like it, your ego says stuff like, oh, they weren't supposed to do that to you. You deserve better. Or when you see, when there's chaos going on around you, you be like, oh, that was wrong. They never should have done that. Your ego has this way of creating the world as it sees fit, because our body is consistently trying to defend itself against future harm or past trauma and past hurt, right? So with this style of meditation, my bad, y'all, I got a phone call. But so what this style of meditation does is it allows you to accept what is. And the huge part of the reason why we can never accept what is because our ego don't allow us to. And I'm not saying that to say that your ego is something wrong with you having an ego or anything like that, because to be quite honest, there's such negative connotation on everything about life, because we were always taught that right and wrong, but we wasn't taught about the principle of polarity, that without wrong, right can't exist. We wasn't taught things like that, so in knowing that, we accept it. We're learned to, we should have been taught to accept right from wrong. We should have been taught to accept hate and love. Because in accepting it, it's saying that it will exist, regardless of what you do. It will exist. So as long as you can accept it, you can learn how to live with it to where it's not disruptive in your life. But we were taught that. And so as I'm reading about this ego, I realized I didn't even realize that I had an ego, and my ego was very, very huge, but it was misplaced, it was basically misplaced illusions, or it was just illusions and it was misplaced, if I were to say that like I really feel it, because all that's around me is as it is and as it should be, because everything in God creation is perfect. And the understanding of that will be the demise of our ego. The understanding that everything around us is as it should be. Acceptance of the world that's around us, the world that we've created, that's inside of our home, inside of our hearts, inside of our family, friends. Accepting that and saying, okay, right now, because of what I created, because I'm the creator of my life, everything is as it should be. I literally am getting what I deserve out of my life, and what's going on in the world around me is as it should be. You take back control, and you don't allow that prevents your ego from controlling your reality and saying that if something doesn't go your way, or if something doesn't look how you think that it should look, then it's wrong. And it creates fear. It creates so many of those emotions that triggers us to a dark mental space. And so I was, reading that, and it really dawned on me that a lot of us need to get our ego in check. Again, I'm not saying that your ego will not exist. I'm not saying that, your ego is something that's bad, because in reality, there's no good or bad. It's the polarity one of the other. You know what I'm saying? But understanding your ego will be its demise, to where it has no more control over, those triggering factors in your life, is what I'm saying. Okay? If I were to, try to spit that like I feel it in my head, a lot of times, I'll have these messages sent directly from spirit, and I feel like they're messages that I'm supposed to relate to the world, because I am a speaker and a motivator, not knowing my boundaries, and my ego saying that I'm a motivator, I'm a speaker, I'm a coach, all this stuff. I say that in my head, so I feel like my ego tells me, oh, you have to share this message, when that message isn't for everybody. It's just literally meant for me. That's what I'm saying, y'all. We have to get our egos in check. Understand your ego. Get to know your ego. Be completely honest and upfront with your ego. List the things that your ego has caused you to be in fear of. List the things that your ego has caused you to hold on to when you should have let go. That's all a part of your ego. And then once you can understand it a little bit better, then you can take control of it and say, okay, my ego is going to allow me to be confident and stand strong and firm in my word and my emotions and my feelings, stand strong in that to build a better me. But I'm not going to allow my ego to cause fear, harm, anxiety. I'm not going to allow my ego to cause that. When things happen, I'm not going to allow my ego to take control and say, this shouldn't be happening to you right now. I'm going to put my ego into check and say, okay, what did I do along the way to cause this reaction to this, that, and the other? All that is going into meditation. That's the whole point of the understanding. That's the whole point of the realization, is so you can go in meditation, quiet your mind, and take that fact in, understand that fact. So it's a really good book. It's called Seven Masters, One Path. So I definitely urge you to read that book, and it helps awaken your Kundalini too. It does that. So I'm going to get out of here. I'm done with my walk. I just wanted to share that with my She Sound Off family and everybody who had a listening ear and sometimes go through so much anxiety. I have so many friends and family that have so much anxiety, and they're like, why do I have anxiety? I was a person who was like, I used to shake. I used to have the shakes because my anxiety was so bad. Until I had to realize, like, it's not that, things are happening to me. It's things are just happening in general. And my ego isn't allowing me to accept those things as they are. And then once you accept them, you have the ability to control them. That's how that works. You can't be all in disarray in your head and think that you can control the reality of your outcome, your reality and the outcome. Because a lot of times, I say 80%, there's no control in the outcome because what is happening was meant to happen. The universe is aligning. And that other 20% is your reaction, which will help, change some of the outcome of things that's happening. And it took me a long time to realize that. They told us that in school, but they said 90% of fighting and anger and all this other stuff is 90% of what's happening to you and 10% of how you react. Okay. And knowing what control you really have. And in knowing what control you really have is you taking back your control. All right. So she sound off. I gotta go. I love you guys. And I will talk to you soon. What is on your mind?